Hey everyone, welcome to part 2 of our 2-part series on runner's knee. I'm back with
Charlie Merrill.
If you missed part 1, be sure to check it out. You can find it on the banner up here. Go check that out. In part 1, we talked about showing you guys certain exercises and tests that are important for the glutes, the hamstrings, and your single leg awareness. And today,
we're going to talk about the progressions that scale those sort of challenging tests back so that you can build up to the point where you can get to those goal movements.
So let's dig into it. So for a quick review, guys, what we did in part 1 was we gave you the tests. And in the first test, what we had was we did some walking with the mini band. So our kind of baseline test was that you should be able to do 20 steps in each direction of each test without getting super fatigued and needing to rest.
Well, that's for the glutes. The second test, we focused on the hamstrings, and we used an inflatable ball to test how well you could do hamstring curls on 2 legs, progressing eventually to 1 leg.
And then finally, we wrapped it all together on kind of our single leg awareness and strength and control with a box squat. What we looked to do was a single leg box squat, 20 reps on each leg without serious fatigue and needing to rest.
Good alignment.
And good alignment. So today, we're gonna work on progressions that get you there.
So the first movement we're going to come back to is the banded walks or the monster walks using these mini bands. We're going to scale it in a couple of optional ways. The first is using a yellow band, which is easy, a green band, which is medium, or a blue band, which is heavy. Or if you only have one band, then it feels relatively hard for you. You're going to scale the number of reps, starting with 10 reps for each movement, then progressing to 15 until ultimately you can do 20 reps of each movement with a harder band. So Kirk's going to quickly demo the banded walks or monster walks, in this case using a medium green band. He's going to start stepping sideways. He's going to do 20 steps going that way and then 20 steps coming back toward me. Unless the band is too heavy, then he's going to scale down to 10 or 15, as I said. He's going to turn face this way. Then he's going to do an ice skater step where he steps out diagonally, comes back together, and then steps out again. 20 steps forward, 20 steps backward. And then the last variation on this is the tightrope step where he swings out wide, steps his foot right in front of the other, 20 steps this way, 20 steps backwards, challenging his balance for sure. Unless the band is too hard, then we'll scale the reps. So again, remember the goal is to do 20 reps of each of those 3 steps, starting with the easy yellow band, progressing then to the medium green, and then to the hard blue, which is ultimately the goal exercise. So next we're going to talk about what's ultimately the ball hamstring curls, where the goal is to do 20 reps on 1 leg at a time on the ball. We're going to show you the scaling for how to get there. Kirk's going to use a bench. It doesn't have to be a bench, it could be a chair, it could be a coffee table, it could be your couch. It could be your teenager on their hands and knees, whatever you can use to support your upper back and shoulders, and ideally your head. He's going to start with his hips low, and then he's going to lift his hips on both legs, squeezing his glutes, and ideally keeping his abs tight, which is not something you'll have to do, but it really helps make this exercise more effective. Come up, hold for about 3 seconds, Kirk. Keep your head relaxed. He's going to squeeze his glutes. He's going to come back down. Once he can get to 20 reps of this exercise without his hamstrings cramping and without too much fatigue, he's going to take 1 leg away. This leg goes sort of more to his midline, and he's going to do the same movement. Hips up. Now he's just squeezing his right glute, still keeping his abs tight, and his goal is to get to 20 reps on each leg, holding about 3 seconds each. Then you switch, do the other leg. That's progression number 1. Progression number 2, or scaling option number 2 to get you to the goal, is to use a Swiss ball but start on 2 legs. And Kirk's going to demonstrate this for us while I talk through the options. So ideally, right away, he's able to bring his hips up, and as he brings the ball in towards his hips, he can keep his hips very high so his thighs are in line with his body for every rep. He's going to hold a second and then come back out. The goal with this is 20 reps. If this feels hard, stop there for a second, Kirk. He's going to bring the ball a little closer to him to start, under his calves, and that's going to make it a little bit easier for him to get up, get his hips high. If that's still hard, he can start with his hips a little lower, but the goal is ultimately to keep his hips as high as possible so his thighs are in line with his body. You can start that way and then build up to having high hips for all 20 reps. That's scaling number 2. So progression number 3 is not standing on the ball, but rather it's doing a single leg hamstring curl on the ball, which Kirk's going to demonstrate. So he can start with 2 legs, he can lift up his hips to get into position, but then he's going to take 1 leg away. He's going to start to bend his knee. And again, keeping his hips as high as possible, he's going to aim for 20 reps. Now he may only be able to start with 1 or 2 reps on each leg, and that's okay. He's going to start to build power to be able to do more and more over time. Same options to modify this is to start with the ball a little closer to his body to make it a little easier, or take it easy on himself and maybe not lift his hips so high with each rep at first until he gets more comfortable with it. You can also sprinkle these in slowly to your 2-legged hamstring curls to start to dose that in so that you get more comfortable doing that at the end of your 2-legged hamstring curls. So again, that's the goal exercise. We're aiming for 20 reps on each leg, and once you're there, you're gonna be psyched. You have no knee pain. So you guys, our 3rd goal exercise was a single leg box squat. To scale that back and build up to the point where you can do that goal, we're gonna start with a split squat, which is basically a single leg squat with the back leg up on a box. Kirk's gonna demonstrate this. This gives him a little bit of balance, gives him a little bit of extra control, so he can make sure his knee's tracking lateral to his foot. He can make sure, by putting his hands on his hips, that his pelvis is staying level. And as I said before, I always like people to have a mirror so they can watch themselves in the mirror. The alignment and the quality of this movement is really important. He doesn't have to go quite as deep at first, but gradually I want him to get comfortable going down to almost parallel with his thighs so he can set a drink there. That's scaling option number 1. So your next scaling option to get you to the goal movement of doing a single leg box squat is to use a stick either in both hands, which makes it easiest, or a stick just in one hand to help with your balance and your alignment. He's going to set up just like the goal exercise, where his right leg is supporting him and his left leg is kind of behind him out to the side like it would be when he was running. And he's going to sit back into the squat, initiating from his hip. His shoulders come forward, his hips are a counterbalance, his spine is staying very straight, watching in the mirror for any deviation of his knee inward or his pelvis coming unlevel. And he's using as much assistance, or hopefully as little assistance as he needs with the stick to be able to help himself get up and down. That's sort of modification number 2. So remember, the goal exercise here is a single leg box squat with no assistance, no balance with sticks, no foot back on a box. This is the full kit and caboodle. All the rules are the same. Knees tracking out, pelvis is level. This is really where you're going to want to have some type of a mirror to get some feedback about where your body is in space. Make sure the upper body isn't leaning usually toward the side you're standing on is the compensation we see most often. And Kirk is going to shoot for 20 reps on each leg. Again, once he's there and once he's mastered all these movements, his knee pain is going to be as good as gone.
Adios knee pain. Thank you, Charlie Merrill, for joining us for this series. Again, if you guys missed that plantar fasciitis series, go check it out. It's pretty great. What I would love to see from you guys is some questions and some engagement in the comments, so be sure to let us know if you have any questions or comments for either Charlie and I, and we'll get back to you. If you liked it and it helped you, let us know by clicking the like button below. And we have a ton of stuff on our channel, so subscribe as well. We will catch you in the next video. Adios.